Hey everyone, welcome to the episode. So Ask Aram flips the script. One Step Beyond podcast guests and listeners submit their questions and ask Aram anything. Questions can be music, life stories, business, leadership, advice, how to make the best vegan omelet, you name it. Aram will unpack your questions and leave you with info you can apply. Before we get to it, please rate, review, and subscribe.
Good morning. One Step Beyond. So Aram has pushed me and inspired me in certain areas of my life that I feel like I needed to be pushed. And most recently running, which I'm doing right now. I would like to ask Aram, who inspired you, who has inspired you, or who does inspire you to push yourself?
Dan, that was an awesome question. So first of all, you are amazing. I love you, really appreciate you, and I'm really inspired by you, both as a great friend and a great business owner, and all the amazing things you've done, from your art, the books you've published, the way you've managed kind of having kind of very public persona, but also managed to just stay like a decent dude. And of course, like all the stuff you've done musically and creatively in general. Great person, great friend. I appreciate you a ton. This question is awesome. It really made me think. I actually had to pause before I could answer, and I got a little misty-eyed. Uh, I am really, really inspired by people who are good at things that I suck at. And I try to spend time with people who are really good at things that I struggle with or I'm trying to get better at. And one of the things I often say to people about, like, whatever you want to get good at, find someone who's really good at it and ask them to help you and spend time learning from them. So, and like, I don't just mean like business things. Like, so for example, if you have a friend who's like a really good parent and you're going to become a parent, or maybe you think you could become a better parent, you want to learn about it, talk to him, ask him advice, like spend time, like family time together, like bring your kid along, like watch what someone else does and try and replicate it. If you want to get better at almost anything, it's about finding people who are really good at it, asking them about it, and then spending time with them so that you can see what they're doing and try and apply it to yourself. You can, of course, like read books and watch videos, like all of that's fine, but I think there's nothing better than really building a relationship with someone, or if you already have the relationship, like investing in it more and really understanding why someone's good at something. So from that perspective, I get really, really inspired by 4 different people. The first is my friend Dave Larson. Dave is a consummate fan of other people being successful. He's like, doesn't have like a jealous bone in his body. When someone does well and they're his friend, he is ultra psyched at it. And like, I can be pretty critical, like be a relatively critical person. And part of it is like, being a coach or a therapist, you're always kind of looking for the holes in things. So part of it is just like from a professional discipline. But I think part of it is like kind of growing up, being a bit like insecure, getting bullied a little bit, and always kind of like looking for negative sides of things. So Dave is just he's just such a champion of people and just believes in people and is so psyched when people do well. And when I spend time with Dave, I get really psyched on other people and people doing well. So if like my tank ever gets empty about people, I go and spend time with Dave, and it really re-energizes me about just celebrating people, being psyched on other people's success, not always like doubting what people are saying or looking at it in a negative way. So the first would be Dave Larson. The second would be my friend Thomas out in Richmond. Thomas is like this hilarious dude. He's got like a great sense of humor. He's a really, really funny guy, but also he's just like a great friend and a great father. That dude is so open to people with different beliefs and different ideas. And he's got friends from like all over, like all sorts of different outlooks. And he's just cool with everyone. And, as a guy, again, growing up in, not just in the punk scene, but kind of growing up with my own ideas about stuff, it's like really easy for me to retreat into kind of like, well, if you don't think this, you suck. And Thomas has been like one of my friends that we've disagreed on so many things in lots of different ways. But what's always stayed true is our friendship. And very specifically, he's like a really, really good friend where like, if I'm kind of silent for a while, like, if we're texting or if he hasn't heard from me, he'll like reach out always make sure we have a good connection. And I really am inspired by that. Like he is such a, just a decent friend, like a really, really good friend. The third is a guy named Scott Patterson. Scott Patterson is the CEO of First Service, so First Service company. And I've known Scott for over a decade, and I knew him as he transitioned into the role that he's in now. And he's effectively just the same person. I mean, he's a better and better and better and better version of that person as a leader. But this is someone who's like leading a gargantuan organization, and there's tons of organizations underneath it. You would never know it. It's not like a guy that's like wearing the flashiest clothing or the flashiest watch, or someone that like, doesn't lead with their success, just leads with their humanity. I often say Scott is maybe my favorite CEO I've ever known. And I've known many great ones, many great professionals, but what I really like about Scott is that like he leads with being a person first. And that also means there's like all the cool, funny sides of him. He's a hilarious guy, but goddamn his intellect. It's like this guy can go from 40,000 feet in a conversation to like 4 inches, boom, instantly. And like his intellect is super sharp. He's just a smart, interesting, cool dude. And as a leader, it really makes me always want to lead with my humanity first. Like just be an accessible, interesting person. Like be real with people. And I don't mean like be real in that corny way. Just be an honest, real person, and be able to also be like through and through like a strong professional at the same time. So really, really inspiring. All of this is stuff that I might suck at, or I'm trying to get better at, or even I'm okay at, but I'm invested in getting better. So for example, like Dave Larson, he's just like, I can kind of be a little critical. Dave Larson's like more positive and like really, really cares. Thomas is this like great friend who's like ultra good at like really having his opinions and ideas about things and being able to discuss them super well, but also like doesn't shove them in your face, and you can have these great dialogues, and he's always your friend. He always has got your back, just like a great person. Scott Patterson, it's like, it's easy when you're a leader to kind of hide behind a lot of like bluster or kind of like whatever authority you have or any of these things. It's also really easy to kind of feel like nobody gets me, I'm this isolated leader. This dude's just like a real human. And it's so cool to see someone who's in like really leading a really big organization just be a great person. And for me, running a business, like sometimes I'll fall into any of the shitty things that people fall into. So it's cool to like have someone to look to like that and get real inspired by. The last though is a double shot. And it's, I always kind of joke around that I'm like an accidental musician. I suck at guitar. I am not good at it, but I've been playing guitar since I was 15. I should be far better than I am at this point. But what I'm pretty good at is songwriting. I'm pretty decent at it, but I've gotten good at it through being around superior songwriters, really, really good songwriters. 2 people who have really influenced me that way are Todd Jones and Aaron Kreitzberg. Todd, who's played in so many bands like Carry On, Terror, Nails, a band called Betrayed that we were in together for a while. And then Aaron Kreitzberg, who was the guitar player of The First Step. Both of them are unbelievable next level songwriters. They just can hear something and create something that's like, I don't even know how you came up with it. Todd is technically proficient beyond belief. This guy is just like a absolute unbelievable guitar player, but also his creativity and his ability to hear something and be like, oh, that would be cool, but if I did it this way, that way, and I switched it around and I flipped the riff. He's just such a incredible songwriter, and I learned so much about songwriting from this guy, where I kind of look back and been like, oh my God, I should have done this, and this, and this. If I spend like an hour with Todd, like talking about music, I'm like, oh shit, I could have done all this stuff. So he's been really, really inspiring in terms of like the creative craft of writing a song. And then Aaron, where Aaron is like, Todd is just so like, Todd is such a good guitar player, and he can just do things that are astounding. Aaron is a very, very good guitar player, but Aaron is just like so like vibe based, and he's really good about giving things space. The way that he looks about music and talks about music is really, really interesting. Both of them in different ways have really influenced my songwriting. And again, because I'm not like a naturally good guitar player at all, and I'm like just like kind of plucking out whatever I can pluck out. But I feel those two guys like really supercharge my thinking about music. and about not even about music, but about how a song can and should move people. So both of them have really inspired the way that I look at music, listen to music, and create songs. So those would be all the people. I kind of snuck an extra one in there, although you didn't give me a limit. So those are who inspire me.
We want to hear from you, our audience. To submit your questions, send us a message, drop us a DM, or comment on our social channels.